and welcome back to Garden Glimpses. My name is Kira Peterson. Today I'm going to explore the topic of air plants. So many of you don't know, but I used to live in Florida. I was there for a couple years doing some landscape design. I'd see these giant live oak trees that would just be covered in air plants, and I just thought they were the coolest thing. Little plants just clinging to a tree. And that brought about my interest in air plants. And so at that point I decided to collect a couple of them and see if I could actually grow them myself. Which was an interesting experience for me. I was not very good with air plants at first, honestly, and killed a couple of them. But lately I've been wanting to get back into air plants. Hanging plants are becoming a lot more popular in design, and so I wanted to just do a little bit more research in how to properly take care of air plants, what to do inside your house to keep them alive. And so that brought about my interest, and that's where I am right now. I've done a little bit of research and I wanted to share with you what I've found. So air plants are really cool. I have a couple of them with me today. We have Tillandsia hemorrhoea, Tillandsia rubra, and this one's Tillandsia stricta. So there are many different types of air plants. They're part of the bromeliad family, and there's over 600 different varieties of air plants. So you know, when you go to the store, the nursery, you'll see a bunch of different types. And they all look a little bit different too. There's actually two different families of air plants. There's the mesic and the xeric. And so the mesic are ones that grow in the tropical rainforest, a little bit more humid areas. And the xeric are ones that grow more in the drier climate. So the cool thing with air plants is they don't actually need soil to root down and get nutrients. What air plants like to do, they use their root structures to attach to a host plant. Now they don't actually get nutrients from the host plant, but they use the host plant to be able to position themselves in the sunlight to get good air circulation in an area where they can get water. And so you can see with this air plant here, the little roots at the bottom, and these in the wild would be used to attach to a host, either a tree, a fence, a post, something of that nature. This one, you can see the little roots right down here at the bottom, and this one, you see a tiny little root. But as an indoor house plant, really the roots aren't used for much because normally you're attaching them with some type of wire or you're putting them in a dish, so they're not really used to take in nutrients or water. The thing with air plants is how they take in water is actually through their leaves. So they have these little things. If you look in close, you see how I can zoom in, the air plant is has this fuzzy looking substance on the leaves. Now these are called trichomes. Now this one is kind of a grayish color. There's a lot of trichomes on it, but the trichomes are really these little scales that are used to draw in the water, and they also are used to shield the plant from sun. So when a plant like this has a lot of trichomes, you can tell it came from a more sunny, dry area, because it needs large trichomes to bring in as much water as it can to get the water that it needs. And that's the xeric form of the air plants. Now the mesic form usually are a little bit more shiny. They don't have as many trichomes because they don't need as many to draw in as much water. They're getting water, on a daily basis. They're in very hot, humid places like Florida, where you have the rains every single day. They, get a lot of that water on a daily basis, so they don't need the large trichomes. In regards to how you would water an air plant if you had it in your house, what I recommend is basically you take your air plants, when you're planting them in a container, you want them to be easily removable, or you want the container to be okay if it gets wet. But I recommend taking the air plants out once a week and just putting them in a bowl of water, completely submerging them. You want all the leaves to be under the water because that's how they draw in the water. So completely submerging them roughly about 1 to 2 hours a week. and that will give them the good water that they need. You can also mist them, every day if you wanted to, but that's not going to completely give them what they need to survive. Now, when you're positioning air plants, you're going to want to put them in indirect sunlight. So an east-facing window would be great, but something that receives, roughly about 1 to 3 hours, morning sunlight, would be good. Another unique thing with air plants is, they do flower. How they reproduce is they actually, once they're done flowering, the mother plant will actually die off, but not before they send out new pups, which are the babies that are attached to the mother plant. So once the pups are able to survive on their own, that is when the mother plant will kind of die off and be replaced by the pups, which is a characteristic of the bromeliad family. You'll see that in other bromeliads as well. With air plants, they will also send out seeds, which is how you see them in the wild. They're just growing wherever, because they will send out seeds, and the seeds will be carried off by the wind to attach to trees and just other different areas. So that's just some things that I've learned about air plants, and I'm excited to continue to use them in my designs, and I hope you will too. Thanks, and have a nice day.